Hello everybody, Solinus Dracone again. Welcome to my recording tutorial basic version. In the first video, we talked about the behind-the-scenes settings in OBS. This time, we're going to be talking about using the interface and doing a teensy bit of recording. We're going to cover quite a bit of ground, so I hope you have your learning hats on. First things first, let's assume you are about to record. The very first thing you should do before going into OBS is switch to your headphones. It's a far better idea to record gameplay while wearing headphones or a headset than to go through your speakers. This way, you get to hear the game audio without it bleeding into your microphone and distorting your voice track. So make that switch. Nearly the same as when we went to go to your microphone settings, this time we're going to playback devices. It's not important really to change any settings for your speakers or headphones here, so we don't have to worry about levels and advanced settings and all that. OBS grabs the system sound on a level before it even gets to your speakers. What you will want to do is set your headphones to default device. It is important to do it this way because OBS is set to listen to your default device. The computer will not send the audio to your headphones unless they are the default device, so make the switch. You can switch it back when you're done recording. With that done, we now turn to OBS itself. On the left-hand panel, you have scenes. On the middle panel, you have sources. To the right of that is your audio devices with their own independent volume shuttles. We'll talk more about this in a bit. I'm going to suggest that you adjust your OBS window thusly. First, squish it as far to the right as possible. Second, expand it upward so that your screen fills the box. Third, take this middle section here and squish it down until it's down as far as you can go, or at least you've got your mic/aux and your desktop audio showing. This is going to allow you to see as much game screen as possible and keep all the important volume sliders visible. This is important. First things first, click on the little gear wheel for your mic aux and go to filters. Here, we will want to add a noise gate. I've already got one here, but I'll add another just to show you. Click plus, click noise gate, name it something, and hit OK. You now have a noise gate. Please note, you can enable and disable the noise gate by clicking the little eyeball icon. We're going to leave it on. Frankly, just going with the default slider settings, I have never had even a little bit of background noise leak through my mic into the final product, so you really can just leave it be here. If you feel brave enough to mess with the sliders, go ahead, but even in my advanced setup, I do not mess with this. It's fine just as it is. Close that out. You do not need to add a noise gate to your desktop audio for any reason. Do not do this. It will be bad. Our next step is going to be adding a scene. What is a scene? While getting into the greatest details about it would be going overboard, for our purposes, a scene is a set of sources. We will discuss sources in a moment, but my recommendation is that for every game or game program that is not full screen by default or is not native 16:9 resolution, you should make a separate scene for it. Oh yeah, I should probably discuss what 16:9 resolution means. To condense it all down, 16:9 is widescreen format, while 4:3 is old-style TV format. Resolutions like 1280 by 720 or 1920 by 1080 are 16:9 resolutions. Conversely, 1024 by 768 or 800 by 600 are 4:3 resolutions. If you're confused, yeah, me too a little. Just remember, if it's wide, it's 16:9. Not the greatest mnemonic device, but it does work. Anyways, why do I bring all this up? Because YouTube, Twitch, and all other media playing websites play their videos in 16:9. For this reason, no matter what you do when you upload a video to YouTube, it is going to be made to 16:9. There is no way around this. Why does this matter for our video recording purposes? Well, if you're okay with dead black borders or an uncentered window, I suppose it doesn't matter. I'm not okay with them, so to me, it does matter. For the entire series, even into the advanced episodes, I'm going to be putting everything into 16:9 resolution on OBS and on the games where possible. So let's add a scene. You will need to create at least one scene in order to add any sources, so let's get that done. Click the plus sign under Scenes, name your scene whatever, and click OK. Now it's time to add a source. What is a source? Exactly what it sounds like. It's a source of input. Sources include the game you're playing, any pictures you want to add as banners, your webcam, the entire monitor you're trying to capture, all of those things. Add a source by clicking the plus sign underneath Sources. Wait, not so fast. Before you can add a game as a source, you need to open the game you want to play. If you're on a single monitor and it's a full screen game, this can be particularly tricky. My advice to those who have only one monitor is to play the game in windowed mode, if at all possible. It's not always going to be possible. I'm sorry for that. This is where the trickiness of it all comes in. If you're playing it in windowed mode, then it is a good idea, within the game settings, to set it to the next highest 16:9 resolution from your monitors. For example, if you have a 1080p monitor, then 1600 by 900 is the way to go. If the game does not have any 16:9 resolutions, then just go as high as possible while still keeping the games at least slightly smaller than your entire monitor. I'm going to use Spore as the example for adding a source, as it's the first game I ever recorded and the first game I had to learn on. So let's add the source. Click the plus sign. Now, I find, for almost every game I play, that window capture is the way to go. Spore is definitely one of those games, and I'll show you why in just a minute. Click Window Capture, and then this screen comes up. Name the source, something like Spore, and click OK. Then what's going to happen is that you'll get this screen. For the window, choose Spore, or whatever game it happens to be. Depending upon the game has a mouse cursor or not, you'll want to either leave capture cursor checked or uncheck it. It is exactly what it sounds like, and all mouse cursors, even in-game, will be affected by it. You should see the preview for what that screen is going to look like right now. Click OK, and you have added a source. But we're not done yet. You'll notice our window isn't centered. Oh dear, that won't come out right. Right-click on either the OBS preview itself or on the source on the sources list. Go to Transform and click Fit to Screen. Never ever click Stretch to Screen. It'll get all distorted and ugly. Fit to Screen only. In here you can see some other options, but we're not going to use those right now. Okay, so Spore is now a source, and it's filling up your entire OBS window. Lovely! Ideally, you'd like the game to fill up as much monitor space as it possibly can, while still keeping just a fraction open for you to peek through at OBS. Sorry single monitor users, but recording is mighty tricky if you don't have that second screen. You really want to have a little bit of the OBS window showing while recording, enough to know what your output is looking like. On classic OBS, it was a separate function to preview the game without recording, but on OBS Studio that is on by default. I promise you, it is worth it to have one eye on your OBS window. There are so many things that you need to be able to keep track of. I suggested a 16:900 resolution because if you drag the window up to the top left of the screen and OBS to the bottom right, you can get a decent view of at least a portion of what your OBS window is saying, as well as some of the game preview. Now, just so I can say I'm doing a good job of explaining why I make the choices I do, let me show you what happens when you capture Spore's game capture instead of window capture. The process is a little different, so I'll walk you through it. Now, since it's good practice, I'm going to disable the original Spore source we set up. Just click the eye so that it's crossed out. Get in the habit of turning off sources you're not using within a scene. OBS is going to be trying to look for all those sources, and you're going to lose precious CPU to all that null information. Once again, if you're not using it, disable it. So adding Spore as a game capture goes much the same way. Plus, game capture, name it. Then you get this. The mode should be capture specific window. The window should be whatever your game window is, in this case, Spore. It takes a second, but it will pop up. And the capture cursor, do with it as you did before. Don't mess with force scaling or transparency here. Remember, we made those settings in the last video. Click OK, just as before, transform, and fit to screen. Now, this is why I choose window capture. You see all that massive flickering that went on in the OBS window when I made that scene switch? That happened because Spore as a game does not work well with the type of hook that game capture uses. A hook is just a method by which OBS is grabbing the game. If we turn off our second Spore source and enable our first windowed one, as you can see, no flicker. With a few exceptions, I have yet to play a game which doesn't work better as window capture. Unfortunately, this is one of those things you're going to have to find out on your own with each individual game, as it is different for each individual system as well. Now, as you can see, you're getting a good view right now of your volume levels, and just as importantly, your recording time and CPU usage, as well as FPS. You want to briefly glance over these every once in a while to make sure that everything is as it should be. If you see your FPS dropping too low, or your CPU going up too high, you know something is going wrong on the recording. Now then, for those out there fortunate enough to have dual monitors, well, feel free to just slap OBS on your second or first monitor and fill up the other screen with the game. No messing with 16:9, no messing with screen positioning, just set your highest full screen resolution in game, no higher than 1080p if that's what you're recording at, and keep an eye on OBS in your other monitor. As I'm not in the business of recording stretched out ass footage, I'm going to proceed with this video as if you have one monitor only. Of course, if you like playing your game at less than full screen, have at. Put the game on your screen however you like to play it normally. Just remember, potatoes, if you're recording in 720p, then it's only coming out in 720p. But the point is to play the game as comfortably as you can. Fidgety fussy time alert! From this point on, you're going to be getting very, very picky and particular because audio quality demands it. I'm going to be giving you my suggestions on how to go about adjusting volume, and if you think at any point you're going to go crazy from how much is involved, well, imagine how I felt learning all that I need to put this together. I'm showing you my recommended ways of doing things, because for me, they work the best. Leap boxes and potatoes alike, none of you are safe. So we badly need to adjust our volume levels. The first priority, adjust the volume down to a level you are comfortable with. If it's hurting your ears, or is so loud you can't hear yourself think, it's not doing you any good. If you're one of those fortunate folks who has headphones with their own independent volume adjustment, use that before anything else. If your phones don't have an independent volume adjustment, then you're going to need to use Windows' built-in volume mixer to get the levels down to comfort zones. Just right-click your volume icon and click Windows Volume Mixer. I'll adjust the game volume down to 50% and work my way down from there. Remember, adjusting within the volume mixer will have an impact on how it's coming out in OBS. You don't want to go too far down, just use the volume mixer to get it to comfortable listening levels. Okay then, once your ears aren't bleeding, then we begin to adjust for what other people are hearing. Now, when I do my advanced series, I'm going to show much better and easier ways to do this, but since we're keeping it basic, this is how we're going to do it for now. If your game is the sort to go silent when it isn't in the window of focus, click into the game. Watch the green lines on your desktop audio and your mic aux. Do you see why I had you go 1600 by 900 and squish the window down? You can actually see the volume lines. Watch them for a bit, and try to do some loud stuff in the game. See where the desktop audio line jumps up to. Do this while talking. You want to see how high your mic is going, and you want to see how high your desktop audio is going. Your goal here is to move the sliders in OBS down until you have a good balance. Ideally, your voice should just be coming up just above the absolute loudest that the game is going. The end of the flickering green line is where your audio levels are. Try to get the balance as right as possible. Now then, when you think you have it in a good spot, begin recording. If you set up a hotkey, click that. As I have two OBS windows going at the moment, that would be a bad idea, so I'm just going to click Start Recording. And now you are recording. When you are done recording, hit your hotkey or click Stop Recording and it stops. I strongly suggest that before you go beginning a long video, you make a few sample recordings and listen to them. If the audio doesn't sync up right, if the game is too loud, if if your voice is too loud, now is the time to catch that. Once you are happy with what you have set up, then go to town and record up a storm. Just remember, you will likely have to adjust the volume levels differently for each game. I told you it would be fidgety and fussy, but these are the pains we as artists must suffer. I promise you, on the Advanced series, audio balancing will be so much easier. But as the Advanced series is going to involve a lot more third-party programs and system twitchery, it's not your time yet. I think that is enough for this episode. I expected to be able to cover the interface completely in one sitting, but that is not the case. On the next video, we will be doing a little bit more with the interface, specifically how to add banners and adjust things for video games which do not conform to a 16:9 resolution. Please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Once again, I am Alex, also known as Solinus Dracone, and this has been my Recording Basics. Thank you very much, and goodbye.